Hello, class. Hope all is well. We are on our last week prior to spring break, so I'm sure you are very, very excited. And our chapter that we're actually, our module we're preparing to embark on is 7.1. We get to touch on criminal law and start to look at the difference between criminal law and civil law and different types of law. So specifically, we're going to talk about criminal law, civil law, procedural law, administrative law, and case law. And I just want to go over a few of those with you. So procedural law is just that laws that adhere to or say we need to follow some type of regulation, some type of rules that are executed before doing something. So a search, a seizure, arrest, or they have procedures and general rules are evidence or types of procedural law. You need to go through and say this is happening before that. So with looking at that and understanding procedural law, think of that procedure, things we have to go through before something is done. So if you've been charged with a crime and now you're going through our judicial process, there are certain procedures that we must adhere to legally. Administrative laws are laws that are looking at how something operates. So, for example, tax law, building codes, health codes tells you how something operates, things that you must do and adhere to. For example, health inspection codes. When they have a health inspector that goes out, if you notice inside of a restaurant, they have a score that represents their overall score from their health inspection. If a restaurant was to receive so many deductions and fall below a certain score, their restaurant could potentially shut down. And these type of things will fall under administrative law, as far as the tax law, health code, building codes, and things like that. Laws that are like a judicial precedent. Precedent is something that outlines as judicial precedent is like a case has gone before, a ruling has been made, and now we have a reference to go back. Precedence has already been set in this matter. So a case or a ruling has already been set, similar circumstances is case law. So case law is a body of judicial precedents that have a historical or legal reasoning behind it for interpretation of statutory laws. Civil law is unlike criminal law. The first thing that's going to happen when we talk about civil law, if you are found liable in civil case, is that there is monetary compensation due. In a civil case, you are not going to be sentenced to incarceration, only in the criminal case. Civil law involves two private parties, so that's why you can sue me for some reason. I can sue you, or I can sue a corporation if I felt like, for example, I tell people the McDonald's case with the hot coffee with the young lady. I mean, of course, there were other facts and circumstances surrounding that, but that's essentially what that is. Or if somebody was to fall down the steps of your house because you failed to do something, they could sue you in a civil case. So understanding those different types of laws as we go through that. So again, you have procedural, administrative, case law, civil law, and then of course criminal law. Now within criminal law, there are two things that we must have for you to be found guilty. Mens res and actus reus. Mens rea and actus reus. Mens reus is actually the guilty mind. Mens, like mentality. You have to have mens rea, so you have to have a guilty mind. For mens reus, and then actus reus is a guilty act. So what you've done has had to be guilty. So prime example I like to use is you may think in your mind all the time that you want to kill someone, right? You may have it all planned out in your mind. You never communicated verbally. You never communicated orally or written. You just have this thought in your mind. Can we charge you? No. That's just a mind. Now, if you have that same guilty mind and you're planning, and now you start conversing with people or making plans to do that and to carry it out, can we charge you? Yeah, conspiracy. So remember, to be found guilty, you have to have actus reus and mens reus. You have to have a guilty mind as well as a guilty act to go into that. When looking at your state of mind and what's going on, there are things that have to be met. However, there are also defenses, something that you can use as a type of defense to help put mitigating circumstances into effect. So to say that maybe this was done because of something. So one type of a defense is involuntary intoxication, entrapment, a mistake of the fact, necessity, or duress. So On occasion, a person may be tricked into consuming or intoxicating substance. This may support what type of defense? Intoxication. Sam threatens to kill John's family if he does not rob the local convenience store and give him the money. What is John's best defense to change in the charge of robbery? So if he's saying that he did this because he was told that his family was going to die, why is it that he committed that crime? What would be a defense that he could use to say, now, did he do it? Yes. We're not saying he did. He's not guilty of doing it. He did it. But what's the defense? The defense would be maybe duress. He acted under duress as to why he actually carried out those different types of things. So in criminal law, that's what we're going to talk about. Looking at, first of all, criminal statutes, what makes something illegal, what happened, what are some of the type of defenses in a criminal situation. Let's see. I wanted to go on. I'm looking over here. A criminal offense punishable by death or incarceration is what type of offense? Death or incarceration. So let's go through our different types of offense. You have a felony, a misdemeanor or ordinance. A misdemeanor is less than a felony. So could you be sentenced to death or incarceration for a misdemeanor? Incarceration, yes, not death. So that question is asking death or incarceration. Make sure you look at that. Search and seizure, arrest procedure are general rules of evidence that are considered what type of law? What type of law? I just went over that one, so you should have that. Procedure. Remember, because if you talk about search and seizure, you have certain things that we have to go through to make sure. What do they need before they can actually carry out a search? Can I just look at you and say, I want to come up and search you? What's needed before someone can be placed under arrest? Let's see. When using deadly force in self-defense, what of the following must be true when using deadly force in self-defense? A gun must be used on your own property against you. The crime must take place at night. There's reasonable belief that imminent death or bodily harm will occur. The defense has to have initiated or provoked the attack. This is a very tricky one, so make sure when you look at that, you look and understand what that's asking you. When using deadly force as self-defense, what is true? You must believe that you had imminent death or bodily harm will occur. So make sure that you look and understand that when you're reading that. The supreme law of the land comes from where? What is that called? The supreme law of the land, saying that this is our ultimate law for all of us here. What is that? That is constitutional law that derives from our actual Constitution. When we talked about that, remember we said the first 10 amendments are referred to as what? Bill of Rights. Why are they referred to as the Bill of Rights? So law of the land is referred to as constitutional law. The court system. So when we're going through the criminal justice system, then once you've been charged, you're actually going to go through our court system. United States is made up of the national court level and state level. Remember, so we have federal jurisdiction and state jurisdiction. Can someone commit one crime that violates both? Yes. Now, that's interesting because when we start talking about double jeopardy and what is double jeopardy, making sure you understand why that is applicable, because you violated federal statute and state statute, two different entities which double jeopardy would not apply. And that type of a system that we have is called a dual court system, two systems. We have dual court system that we have. When going through court, or even with law enforcement, we could talk about something called jurisdiction. What is jurisdiction? Jurisdiction is your geographical or that area for you to hear and decide a case for courts, or area that somebody has rule or authority over for, like in law enforcement, for example. Spring Lake Police Department has jurisdiction over where. Fayetteville Police Department has jurisdiction over where. So it's that area that you're responsible for over there. So looking at our court system and understanding our court system, we have a dual court system, our federal and our state. So dual court system overall. Underneath our federal system, you have 3 tiers. Same thing as underneath your state system. I understand that under your state, you have the North Carolina Supreme Court, right? And then under the federal, you have the U.S. Supreme Court, which trumps all of that. That's our federal state. So our federal court, Supreme Court. case. So under the tiers of our court system, you're gonna have that district court, U.S. District Court. That's like your initial courts when you start going through that. Then you're gonna have your U.S. Appeal Court, Court of Appeals, and then your U.S. Supreme Court. So those are the three tiers of our court system when you're looking at under our federal jurisdiction. Concurring and dissenting. So once you're going through court, and if you filed an appeal, it means that you disagree with that previous ruling and you're going to the next level because you're appealing something, whatever it may be. So a concurring opinion would mean you concur. If they on appeal, the judge or in the review they say we concur, means we're in agreement with that. We believe that what happened in there was correct. Dissenting opinion, court of opinions, the majority is the ones that mean they do not. They disagree with that. So court case, you're going to have a dissenting, which means you disagree, or concurring, which means you actually agree. So same thing under our federal. We go back to our state. At the trial courts, you have your original jurisdiction, and then the Court of Appeals is your appellate jurisdiction. Be able to, when you look at the courtroom, name courtroom parties. Who is in the courtroom? When you look in the courtroom, you don't even need to read this. It's off your head. If you think about when you go into a courtroom, if you can name 6 people that you see in the courtroom, for example, you see a prosecutor, a defense attorney, and what else? Be able to tell me what other parties you see when we talk about a courtroom party. So that's what we're saying, courtroom parties. Who's made up in that courtroom? Who's in the courtroom? Who is the courtroom comprised of when we talk about that? Federal judges, which we are going through right now. This is actually interesting since we've had Scalia pass away. It is up for appointment for a new judge. So this is actually a good question as we go through that. Understanding federal judges are nominated by who and confirmed by who. I'm not going to tell you that one because I think that's actually really good. And right now, actually, I'll have you look up to see who is the current person that President Obama is trying to nominate for our federal judge. I think we do that as an extra credit. Who is the current individual that President Obama is trying to nominate for our U.S. Supreme Court? We'll offer that as extra credit. So when you email me your answer, put in the subject extra credit CJC 11109. Is this 0902? So yeah, that'll be an extra credit. So hopefully you'll watch this in time. You need to submit that extra credit to me by Thursday. By Thursday, the 24th. So look over your assignments, looking under criminal law, understanding criminal law. Look through those chapters, the PowerPoints. If you have any questions, get back, let me know. This was kind of a long little overview going over just some of the stuff on the quiz I wanted to hit on with you. So shoot me an email if you have any questions. Don't forget to get your extra credit into me. Have a good day.